Welcome to Stories with Grandma Selene, where African wisdom flows like ancient rivers, carrying lessons that shape character, destiny, and the paths we walk. Today, we unfold the story of a beautiful girl from a rich family with no manners, a gripping folktale about privilege, pride, and the heavy price of disrespect. Journey with us into a polished mansion in Lagos, where Racheal Adeyemi, brilliant, elegant, and born into abundance, believes the world must bow at her feet. From her father's company to her own family home, her beauty becomes a weapon, her words become arrows, and her arrogance builds a throne too high for anyone to reach. But destiny has a way of humbling the proud. As the seasons change, the people she mocks find joy, success, and love, while her own path grows darker, lonelier, and filled with echoes of opportunities lost. Until life itself rises to teach her the lesson she refused to learn. Sit back, relax, and prepare your heart as we enter a tale where pride meets consequence, where character outweighs beauty, and where the journey from arrogance to humility becomes the transformation that saves a life. Racheal Adeyemi was born into privilege. Her father, Chief Adeyemi, was a respected businessman in Ibadan, known for philanthropy and a large heart. The entire family rejoiced when Racheal arrived, for her birth ended the Adeyemi's long years of waiting. She was beautiful, fair, bright-eyed, and brilliant. Teachers spoke highly of her, neighbors admired her, and her father proudly introduced her as my jewel. But beneath her beauty and intelligence grew the first seeds of trouble, pride. From childhood, Racheal disliked greeting people. When neighbors visited, she strolled past without acknowledgement. Her mother corrected her countless times, but Racheal saw nothing wrong with her behavior. "Why must I greet everyone?" she would ask, shrugging. At age 13, her parents sent her to stay with her older sister, Tosin, hoping living with others would teach her humility. Tosin lived with their cousins, Selina and Shalom, the orphan daughters of Chief Adeyemi's late brother. The arrangement was meant to make the girls bond like sisters. Instead, it exposed the sharp edges in Racheal's character. While Selina and Shalom were calm and respectful, Racheal treated them with quiet contempt. She mocked their clothes, their shoes, and even their food portions. Selina tried to ignore the insults, but Shalom often confronted her. "Why are you like this?" Shalom asked once. "Because life made me better," Racheal answered smugly. Her brilliance in school only fueled her arrogance. Teachers avoided disciplining her because she argued bitterly when corrected. Elders in the compound whispered about her lack of manners, but Chief Adeyemi dismissed every complaint as childish behavior. "She will outgrow it," he often said. But the old women shook their heads. "A child who refuses to kneel will one day bow to life," one said. At that time, no one imagined how painfully true those words would become. By SS2, Racheal had become a sensation in her school, not for good reasons. While her academic scores were exceptional, her attitude remained like bitter cola. She spoke disrespectfully to teachers, cut conversations short with seniors, and refused to participate in group works unless she was the leader. Her classmates admired her brilliance but disliked her presence. Many avoided her because she had a sharp tongue and a steady habit of mocking anyone she considered below her. During a school debate competition, Racheal won first place, but instead of expressing gratitude, she smirked on stage. "Was there ever any doubt?" she said into the microphone. The audience murmured, embarrassed for her teachers. Her arrogance escalated so much that even prefects avoided correcting her. Only one person still tried, her cousin Shalom. One afternoon, Shalom pulled her aside. "Racheal, you are crossing lines, you embarrass people, why?" Racheal laughed. "Which people? Those pretending to be in my class, please." Her words cut like a blade. At home, Tosin tried to warn her. "You are shining now, but attitude will dim your light someday." Racheal scoffed. "My future is brighter than any torchlight." Selina, who rarely spoke, whispered, "Be careful." But Racheal waved her off. The complaints eventually reached Chief Adeyemi. He summoned her home for a stern conversation. Instead of remorse, she defended herself. "People are jealous," she said. "They want to drag me down." Her father sighed deeply. "Racheal, remember, beauty and brains are nothing without character." But she wasn't listening. To her, the world revolved around her brilliance. And she believed nothing, not even her own behavior, could ever block her path. She had no idea how wrong she was. University life gave Racheal freedom, and she used it to display her true nature. Her confidence attracted attention at first. Boys admired her beauty, lecturers praised her intelligence, and students asked her for guidance. But within months, people began to distance themselves. She insulted roommates, took over group projects without listening to others, and dismissed anyone who tried to advise her. She treated class representatives like personal assistants and mocked anyone who didn't speak English with a foreign accent. Her roommate Grace prayed daily for patience. "Why do you always look at people as if they are beneath you?" Grace asked once. Racheal replied, "Because most of them are." Her words spread quickly across campus. By her second year, Racheal had no friend, not one. She ate alone, worked alone, and stayed alone. But she told herself it was by choice. In her third year, during an entrepreneurship course, she joined a business group led by a humble young man named Dealey. He suggested shared roles, but Racheal insisted on taking over. "You people cannot handle excellence," she said. They let her lead, only for the project to collapse because she refused to listen to corrections. When the lecturer failed the group, Dealey approached her politely. "Next time accept help." Racheal burst into laughter. "Help from you, a beg shift." That was the day Dealey walked away, and the entire department quietly followed. She became known as Racheal the Unapproachable. In her final year, when students formed alliances to help each other, Racheal found herself alone again. She asked a lecturer for support with her research work, but her reputation had grown. "I don't reward arrogance," the lecturer said. She struggled silently but still graduated with good grades, an achievement she wore proudly. But even then, she refused to learn. She believed the world outside would bow to her intelligence. She didn't know that life outside school had a different curriculum. And she would be forced to learn it. After graduation, Racheal returned home to the warm embrace of her father. Chief Adebio wasted no time in appointing her as a junior executive in his company. "She is brilliant," he said proudly. "She will take the company to greater heights." But brilliance without humility is a noisy gong. From her first week, Racheal made enemies everywhere. She shouted at cleaners, snapped at secretaries, and dismissed older employees with disrespect. Her father's personal driver, Pa Musa, suffered the most. Each time he opened the car door, she complained. "You are too slow, do you think I have time to waste?" Yet Pa Musa remained patient, because he respected her father. One morning, she insulted an accountant twice her age during a meeting. "Let me explain it in simple English, so your tired brain can understand." The room fell silent. People exchanged looks. But Racheal felt triumphant. When her father heard about the incident, he called her for a conversation. "Racheal, I hear troubling things about your behavior." She folded her arms. "Those people exaggerate because they fear change." Chief Adebio frowned. "Respect is not optional." But Racheal wasn't listening. At home, Selina and Shalom avoided her completely. Even Tosin grew exhausted from her constant complaints and insults. Yet every time Racheal looked at her reflection in the mirror, her fair skin, her elegant features, her polished outfits, she told herself she was winning. But fate is patient, it does not shout. It simply waits. And Racheal's waiting season was quietly gathering clouds. Because in life every seed grows. Even the ones watered with pride. Racheal reached her mid-20s, and as expected, suitors began to show interest. After all, she was beautiful, educated, and from a wealthy home. Her parents were hopeful. But every suitor left, angry, embarrassed, or disappointed. The first man, Cunnel, arrived with flowers. Racheal opened the door, looked at him from head to toe, and said, "This is what you wore to meet me. This shirt is older than my shoes." Cunnel left that same day. The second suitor, a quiet banker named Nnamdi, tried to be patient. During their conversation, he said gently, "Racheal, you seem tense. Are you okay?" She snapped, "Do I look like your patient? Please mind your business." He stood up, greeted her parents respectfully, and walked out. A wealthy businessman came next, but Racheal insulted his grammar. Another suitor brought gifts, she mocked the brand. Another tried to advise her about humility, she walked out on him. The pattern continued for years. Meanwhile, Selena got married, Shalom got engaged. Even Tosin, who once thought marriage wasn't urgent, found love. Racheal pretended to be unbothered, but at night she stared at the ceiling, wondering why men of quality were not coming. Chief Adebio grew worried. Racheal, he said one evening, marriage is not a prize, but your attitude is pushing people away. Racheal hissed loudly, let them go, I will get someone better. But deep inside, something unsettled her. Life was shifting, but she was. At family gatherings, younger cousins married before her. Friends she once belittled had children, but she refused to accept the truth. It's not me, she said, it's them. She didn't know that from that point on, fate had started writing her repercussions. Quietly, in invisible ink. A debt she would soon be forced to pay. With her cousins married and new responsibilities falling on everyone around her, Racheal became increasingly irritable. Anyone who tried to offer advice became her enemy. The household walked on eggshells around her. Even Tosin avoided long conversations. But the truth was simple. Racheal was lonely. Her arrogance had built a tall wall, and now she was trapped inside. One afternoon, Shalom visited with her newborn baby. The house was filled with laughter from relatives admiring the child. Racheal came downstairs wearing an expensive silk gown. Selena greeted her cheerfully, come and carry the baby now. Racheal made a face, a beg shift Jaya Barbie's soil clothes. The room fell silent. Tosin whispered, it's just a child. But Racheal rolled her eyes and walked away. Later that day, her father gently approached her. Racheal, you're growing older, don't let pride isolate you. She replied sharply, I don't need anyone. Chief Adebio sighed deeply. He watched his once adorable daughter transform into someone almost unrecognizable. Everyone else could see the danger ahead, everyone except Racheal. During a family meeting in the village, Racheal's behavior embarrassed everyone. She refused to kneel while greeting elders, scoffed at traditional customs, and even side-eyed the oldest woman in the clan. After the meeting, her grandmother, Mama Funmileo, called her aside. My daughter, the old woman said gently, wealth is not an excuse for disrespect. A tree does not stand without its roots. Racheal smiled dismissively, Mama, times have changed. Mama Funmileo shook her head. Not for manners, pride is a disease, if you don't cure it early it will finish you. Racheal chuckled, Mama please, I'm doing perfectly fine. The old woman looked at her with sadness in her eyes. You are walking with your eyes closed, but life will open them painfully. Those words stayed in the air long after they parted. But Racheal brushed them off like dust. She had no idea the prophecy was already unfolding. A promotion came for Racheal, not because she deserved it, but because her father believed it would motivate her to behave better. She became assistant manager, supervising older, more experienced employees. And that was when things worsened. She insulted anyone who questioned her decisions, threw files at secretaries, and accused workers of being slow villagers. One afternoon, she embarrassed Pa Musa in front of others because he didn't turn the car fast enough. You're too old for this job, my father is just being pitiful. The driver bowed his head silently. Colleagues whispered, insulted on his behalf. Later, the HR manager confronted her cautiously. Madam Racheal, we need to talk about staff welfare. She cut him off, talk to yourself, I'm not here to babysit grown adults. Reports piled up, complaints multiplied. Her father's board members warned him. If you don't take action, she may destroy your company's reputation. Chief Adebio felt ashamed, but he kept defending her. Meanwhile, the seeds of consequence were maturing. Because the day would soon come when Chief Adebio's protection would no longer cover her. One evening, Racheal attended a corporate dinner with her father. She dressed beautifully in a fitted gown and dazzled the hall. People admired her until she opened her mouth. A senior partner complimented her dress. Racheal replied, of course I don't wear cheap things. An investor asked for her opinion on a business strategy. She dismissed him, sir, your plan is outdated, I can't sugarcoat nonsense. Her father almost fainted. The next morning, the board issued a subtle warning. Racheal must improve her behavior or step down. Her reaction. They're intimidated by my intelligence. But the whispers grew. Clients avoided her. Staff hid from her. Managers prayed not to interact with her. And for the first time, Chief Adebio saw clearly. His daughter's arrogance had become a virus infecting everything she touched. And yet the worst was still ahead. Even as her career stumbled, suitors still came, mostly because of her beauty and family background. But none survived 1 week with her. One man, Tunji, took her to dinner. He complimented her intelligence. Racheal replied, "Of course I'm above average, unlike most people." Tunji blinked, confused. Another man sent her flowers. She tossed them aside. "What will I do with these nonsense petals?" A gentle, patient suitor named Daniel tried to understand her. He listened to her complaints, tolerated her insults, and still asked to know her better. Until one day, she mocked his mother's occupation. "Your mom sells vegetables. Ah, no wonder your English is somehow." Daniel stood up quietly. He didn't shout. He didn't insult her. He simply said, "Racheal, I pray life humbles you before it breaks you." Then he walked away. Even Racheal felt that one. But instead of reflecting, she hardened more. It's their loss, she told herself. But deep inside, fear was growing. Because everyone around her was moving forward, except her. With time, everyone around Racheal began to pull away. It wasn't sudden, it was slow, quiet, and almost invisible, like a candle flame shrinking without wind. Tosin stopped inviting her for outings because each time they went out, Racheal embarrassed her by insulting waiters or complaining loudly about minor inconveniences. Selina and Shalom visited less frequently, not because they didn't care, but because Racheal's words strung like pepper in the eyes. They had their own lives, husbands, children, and businesses. They didn't have time for continuous emotional battles. One Sunday, Tosin invited everyone for lunch. The house was full, children running around, couples chatting, laughter echoing everywhere. Racheal arrived late, wearing a glamorous dress and sunglasses. "Why is everyone shouting in this house?" she asked loudly. Silence fell. Selina whispered to her husband, "You see why we avoid her." Even the children moved away from her stiff aura. Tosin approached gently. "Racheal, we're happy you came, join us." But Racheal looked around and scoffed. "This place is too rowdy, I can't stay." She left after 10 minutes. At home, she felt something strange, a weight she couldn't name, the truth. Isolation was creeping in. She thought people were acting funny, not realizing she was the cause. Her father noticed the shift. "Racheal, don't let your behavior push loved ones away. One day you will need them." She laughed. "Need to, please, I'm fine." But she was. For the first time since childhood, she felt a shadow of emptiness. She ignored it. But shadows don't leave just because you refuse to see them. The first real storm hit when Chief Adebio fell ill. It started slowly, fatigue, dizziness, then progressed into something more serious. Hospital visits became frequent. Racheal visited him at the hospital, but even there, she argued unnecessarily with nurses and questioned doctors rudely. One afternoon, the doctor pulled her aside. "Madam, your father needs peace of mind. Please reduce stress around him." Instead of understanding, she snapped. "Are you calling me stress?" The doctor sighed. "I'm asking you to be gentle." Her siblings tried to intervene, but Racheal clung to her pride like life support. A few months later, Chief Adebio suffered a major health crisis. He survived, but doctors warned the family that he must reduce stress and step away from work. The board recommended temporary leadership for the company. To everyone's shock, they did not choose Racheal. Instead, they appointed a calm, hard-working manager named Mr. Adekanal. Racheal exploded. "How can you choose him over me, a whole graduate, a whole brilliance?" The board chairman replied calmly, "We need someone with people skills. You lack that at the moment." Her father, weak on his hospital bed, whispered, "Racheal, please listen." But she stormed out. That night, for the first time in a long while, Racheal cried silently, not because she cared for the company, but because life was beginning to refuse her entitlement. The cracks were widening. The consequences were coming. The next blow came unexpectedly. With her father stepping away, the company reviewed all departments. Complaints about her behavior resurfaced, this time louder and impossible to ignore. Former clients recounted her arrogance. Staff submitted written reports. Even senior managers told stories she didn't think anyone noticed. HR invited her for a formal query. She entered the office angry. "Is this a joke? You are questioning me." The HR officer sighed. "Madam, we have multiple reports." "They're all lies," she snapped. "People are jealous." He slid a stack of documents toward her. "These are signatures from 38 employees." Racheal froze. 38. She never expected the number to be so high. She pushed the papers away. "I won't sign anything." But life did not need her signature to move forward. 1 week later, the board placed her on suspension. Her position was taken temporarily by someone she once mocked, a junior staff named Miss Deborah, known for humility and hard work. Racheal felt humiliated. For the first time in her life, she experienced consequences that money and beauty could not stop. She packed her things angrily. "This company will beg me one day." But as she walked out, staff watched silently, not with admiration but with relief. And that was the beginning of her fall. Not the end. Just the beginning. Being at home with no work humbled Racheal in unexpected ways. Days stretched endlessly. People who once called her only did so out of respect for her father. Now that she was suspended, calls reduced drastically. Former suitors did not check up. Her classmates ignored her messages. Her neighbors barely greeted her. Her cousins were busy with family life. Tosin tried to cheer her up, but Racheal pushed her away with bitterness. "I don't understand why everyone is against me." Tosin looked at her sadly. "No one is against you, you're against yourself." Racheal hissed. But later that night, she lay in bed scrolling through social media. Selena posted pictures of her wedding anniversary. Shalom posted her son's birthday. Former friends shared pictures of promotions and vacations. Everyone seemed to be moving forward, except her. Then something strange happened. For the first time in years, Racheal whispered a quiet thought. "Maybe, just maybe, it's me." She immediately brushed it off. But the seed of awareness had finally entered. Slowly, quietly, softly, Racheal began praying for marriage. She attended prayer meetings, sowed seeds and fasted. Not because she wanted love, but because she wanted status. She wanted to prove to her cousins, her sister, and her critics that she could also get a husband. But no suitor came. Not one. Pastors would pray for her and then add carefully, "Work on your attitude, God blesses humility." She ignored them. One night she had a dream. She stood alone in a huge hall, beautifully dressed, waiting for someone to approach her. She smiled at people passing by, but they all walked around her like she was invisible. When she woke up, her heart raced. Was it a warning? Was it a reflection of her life? She didn't know. All she knew was that something was changing. Her world was shrinking. And her pride, which once looked like power, was slowly turning into a prison. Days turned to weeks, and Racheal still had no job, no suitors, and no social life. Her father's health kept declining, and the house once full of life became quiet. She tried to involve herself in company matters again, but Mr. Adekanal made it clear. "Chief needs rest, please allow us manage things." She felt useless. One morning, she followed Tosin to visit a sick church member. They entered a small room where an elderly woman lay weak on a mat. Tosin knelt, greeted the woman warmly, and cleaned her forehead. Racheal stood stiffly by the door. "Won't you greet her?" Tosin whispered. Racheal forced a smile. "Good afternoon." The woman struggled to sit up. "Ah, fine girl, thank you for coming." Her gentle voice pierced something in Racheal's heart. After the visit, Tosin asked, "How did you feel?" Racheal shrugged. It was okay. But later that night, she couldn't sleep. She imagined herself old and sick, with no one to help her because she had pushed everyone away. That image shook her. She didn't admit it out loud, but something deep inside softened, just a little. A tiny crack in the wall she built around herself. A family meeting was held again in the village to pray for Chief Adebio's health. Everyone travelled down except Racheal, who insisted she was too busy doing nothing. Tosin practically dragged her there. During the gathering, the family elders prayed and poured libations, as tradition demanded, asking for mercy on the family. The oldest man, Baba Oladil, suddenly called Racheal forward. "Come here, my daughter." She rolled her eyes but obeyed. He looked intently at her, his voice low and heavy. "You are your father's joy, but you have become the thorn in his flesh." Gasps filled the air. He continued, "Your character is chasing your blessings. If you do not change, life will humble you more than you can bear." Racheal wanted to protest, but the weight of his words silenced her. After the meeting, Tosin said, "Why don't you listen to advice?" Racheal snapped, "Because I'm tired of all of you talking to me like a child." But deep down, the elder's words echoed like thunder. She couldn't shake them off. She felt something coming. Something heavy. Weeks later, things took another bad turn. Chief Adebio collapsed again. This time it was worse. The family rushed him to the hospital. Doctors fought to stabilize him. Racheal wept uncontrollably. "Daddy, please don't leave me." But the doctor had a bitter announcement. His recovery will be very slow. He must avoid any stress. Which meant he was no longer fit to manage the company. The board made a final decision. Chief Adebio was stepping down fully. His shares and responsibilities were to be distributed. Everyone expected Racheal to inherit a significant portion. But the board, knowing her reputation, only allocated a small part to her and gave majority control to Tosin and Mr. Adekunle. Racheal felt stabbed. "That company is my birthright," she screamed. Tosin said calmly, "Birthright is earned through behavior you refuse to learn." It was the harshest truth Racheal had ever heard. And it broke something inside her. The world she controlled was slipping away. Just when she thought life had finished dealing with her, a glimmer of hope appeared. An elegant young man named Bernard began attending her church. He noticed her beauty and approached her. Racheal was shocked. Suitors had stopped coming for months. Bernard invited her to lunch. At first she tried to act gentle, but her old habits resurfaced. She rolled her eyes at the waiter. She criticized Bernard's car model. She bragged about her influence at her father's company, which she no longer had. Bernard watched quietly. At the end of the date, he said softly, "I think you need healing." Racheal frowned. What is that supposed to mean? Bernard sighed. "You're beautiful, but your heart is full of thorns. I can't build a future with someone who doesn't know how to value people." Then he left. Another suitor gone. Racheal went home, entered her room, locked the door and cried until her pillow was soaked. For the first time, she said the words out loud. "Something is wrong with me." It was painful, but it was true. Racheal began withdrawing from people, not out of pride anymore, but out of shame. She felt exposed, as if the whole world had seen her naked flaws. She stopped attending gatherings. She avoided relatives. She ate alone. She slept late into the afternoon. One evening, she overheard two aunties whispering. "A beauty with no manners is like a lamp without oil," one said. "No wonder suitors keep running," the other replied. The words pierced her heart like a knife. Later that night, she sat on her bed, hugging her knees. "What have I done to myself?" she whispered. For the first time since childhood, Racheal reflected deeply. She remembered every person she insulted, every suitor she drove away, every elder she disrespected. She felt an ache she had never known, a quiet, heavy sorrow. And as she sat there crying, she didn't realize. These were only the early pains. Racheal woke up one morning feeling unusually unsettled. She stood before her giant bedroom mirror, admiring herself as always, when the glass suddenly cracked from the inside, a clean diagonal line splitting her reflection in two. She gasped and jumped backward. Selina rushed in. "Racheal, what happened?" I don't know," Racheal stuttered. "I didn't even touch it." Selina stared at her, a mix of pity and fear in her eyes. "You know what Grandma used to say," she whispered. A broken mirror warns of a broken future. Racheal scoffed, but her heart thudded loudly. She had never been superstitious, but for the first time she felt something shifting in her life, like the universe was warning her that her pride was becoming too heavy for her blessings to carry. And deep inside, she feared the fall might already have begun. Her father trusted her with a major project, a partnership worth millions. It was the chance to prove she was not just the beautiful daughter but a capable leader. But Racheal's arrogance struck again. She insulted the partner's secretary. She snapped at the junior staff. She dismissed advice because she believed she was smarter than everyone in the room. When the chairman arrived for the final signing, he was already furious. "Mr. Ademi," he said to her father, "your daughter is disrespectful, unprofessional, and impossible to work with. We cannot do business with someone who talks down on everyone." He walked away. Deal lost. Her father's company suffered the kind of financial blow it had never seen before. And her father said the words she never expected to hear. "Racheal, you are becoming a danger to everything I've built." For the first time, shame washed over her, but the lesson still did not sink in. Tosin, Selina, and Shalom sat together one night, exhausted and heartbroken. "We have tried," Tosin said. "We advise Racheal, she insults us. We ignore her, she mocks us. We help her, she humiliates us." Selina sighed deeply. "Maybe we should stop fighting her battles, let life teach her." Shalom wiped her eyes. "She has hurt too many people, even Daddy is getting tired." They held hands and prayed, not for revenge but for clarity. "God, open her eyes, because if she continues like this, the fall will be too heavy." That night, while the sisters prayed for guidance, Racheal slept peacefully, unaware that her behavior had planted seeds that would soon grow into thorns. One by one, successful young men approached the family, not for Racheal but for her cousins. A doctor came for Shalom. A banker came for Selina. A businessman came for Tosin. The house was filled with flowers, gifts, laughter, and good news. But no one asked for Racheal. Not anymore. Sometimes she overheard conversations. "She's beautiful, yes, but beauty with pride is a curse. My friend tried, she insulted his mother. She talks to people like they are beneath her." Racheal pretended she didn't care. Pretended she was too focused on her career. Pretended suitors were beneath her level. But at night she cried quietly. She was 28, everyone around her was getting married. Even her younger cousins were entering serious relationships. For the first time she felt left behind. The year her father had a mild stroke was the year everything changed. At the hospital, Racheal barked at nurses, insulted a doctor, and shouted at a security guard. Everyone was already stressed, but her attitude made it worse. Her father, weak and frustrated, whispered, "Racheal, stop this. Your behavior is killing me faster than the sickness. I raised you better." She froze. Those words hit her harder than any slap. Then the doctor stepped in. "Madam, if you speak to my staff like that again, we will have to restrict your access." "Restrict her?" "Racheal Ademi, the princess of the house." She stormed out of the hospital, but for a moment her pride cracked, just like her mirror. For the first time she wondered, am I really the problem? She didn't know it yet. But this was the beginning. A wealthy young CEO named David began visiting the company. He was charming, polite, and single. Finally, someone on Racheal's level. Or so she thought. Racheal immediately became sweet and gentle toward him, something her cousins had never seen before. She greeted him, smiled excessively, pretended to be humble. Everyone knew she was acting, but David remained kind. One Saturday, he invited the family to a dinner party. Racheal dressed like a queen, because she was sure he would propose to her. But halfway through the dinner, David stood up, smiled, and announced, "I invited you all here to meet the woman I want to marry." Racheal's heart exploded with joy. Until her eyes followed his hand. He was holding Selina's hand. Selina's eyes were wide with shock, she hadn't known either. Racheal stood in confusion, humiliation, and silent rage. She ran out of the hall, shaking. For the first time she realized. Good men didn't avoid her for no reason. Her attitude destroyed every opportunity before it even arrived. And life had just slapped her publicly. A rumor began circulating in her father's company that Racheal was difficult, disrespectful, and toxic. Top employees started avoiding her. Interns prayed not to be assigned to her team. Partners insisted on dealing with her cousins, who were more polite and competent. Then one day, her father called her into his office. His tone was firm. "Racheal, I love you, but I cannot let you destroy my company. You are suspended for 6 months. Suspended? By her own father. Her voice trembled. "Daddy, you can't do that to me. I already have." Her office was emptied. Her access was revoked. Her driver was reassigned. Racheal walked out of the building, her legs shaking, whispers following her. She finally got what she deserved. I hope she changes. But will she? The princess had fallen. Her cousins, now busy with their relationships and careers, no longer shielded her from her own mess. The house felt empty even though people lived in it. Tosin avoided her insults. Selina prayed for her but kept her distance. Shalom had stopped trying to reason with her. Racheal sat in her room day after day, staring at the broken mirror she still hadn't replaced. Bills she never used to notice began piling up. Her social calendar was empty. Her phone no longer rang. That's when her transformation began, not through advice, not through scolding, but through silence. For the first time, she felt the weight of her own actions crushing her from the inside. Is this who I've become? A lonely queen with no kingdom. Was beauty worth losing everything? Tears became her new companions. One afternoon, Racheal overheard the family doctor advising her father. "Sir, you need less stress. Family peace is important." Her father sighed deeply. "I know, but the child who gives me the most stress is the one I love the most." Those words broke her heart. That evening, Racheal approached him quietly. "Daddy, I'm sorry." He didn't speak, he simply nodded, too tired to argue. She walked to the kitchen and helped Tosin cook, something she had never done willingly. She apologized to the maids she had once insulted. She offered to drive Shalom to work. She wrote a long apology message to the partner she had insulted. Everyone was shocked. But no one trusted the change yet. Real transformation takes time, and Racheal knew she needed to earn forgiveness, not demand it. For the first time in her life, she was learning humility. Months passed. Racheal became quieter, gentler, more considerate. Her father eventually lifted her suspension, not because she begged, but because he saw real change. She returned not as the arrogant princess, but as a respectful learner. At home, she treated her cousins like sisters, not servants. She apologized deeply and sincerely. Selina hugged her and said, "We only wanted the best for you." One evening, Racheal gathered her family and said, "I destroyed opportunities with my own mouth. I pushed away good people with my own pride. If I ever rise again, it will be with humility, kindness, and respect." Her fall had reshaped her. And slowly, life began opening new doors for her, doors her old arrogance would have slammed shut. Beauty without manners is like gold covered in mud. Nobody sees the value. Respect opens doors that beauty alone can never open. Pride destroys, but humility rebuilds. Do you think Racheal truly deserved all the consequences she faced? Have you ever met someone whose attitude destroyed their blessings? What do you think is the most important lesson from her story? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful African folktales.